Fantastic. So, don't worry, there'll be more chances to network. Just while top of mind, I was chatting with Terry from Durham, reminiscing of the Ontario Star Sales Competition that he launched just this February, right, Terry? Was it February? Yeah, so Terry, right next to Anish over there from Sheridan, who got first place. We got second place. And who was third? Are they here? Seneca. Okay, Seneca, thank you. Yeah, that's right, Drew's here. So, but there were 6 colleges, right? I think so Fanshawe was there, Conestoga. So that was really great. And I know you're sitting right beside Rob, who ran his multicollegial with university sales competition. So if anybody has a chance, pick their brains. Lots of stuff that were discussed last year at this event is actually happening, which is really cool to watch. I like to think that I have a lot to do with that. Oh, thank you. All right, I was looking for that. I was fishing for that compliment. So let's dive back into it. We're going to get into the digital side of training. We coming back from our break and getting an amazing workshop with the emotional intelligence side of things, the human side. We're going to go back into the digital side. We're going to join Jeremy Legg, program coordinator at Conestoga College. We're going to be getting into transforming sales role plays with Hyperbound and Voice AI. So Jeremy holds an MBA, program coordinator for the Business Development and Sales Grad Cert at Conestoga College. He's a champion for tech-enhanced learning, integrating tools like Voice AI and Hyperbound into his curriculum. So Jeremy's work focuses on preparing students for the evolving digital-first sales environment. He's a friend of the conference. He's always been very helpful over the past 5 years, so thank you, Jeremy, for that, and I welcome you to the stage. Thanks again, Jeremy.
I really like it when earlier presentations give me ammunition for my presentation. That worked out well. Roger, we didn't plan it, but you nailed it. So I'm going to start with 2 quotes, and I'm going to answer a question, or 2 quotes and a statement. So the first quote is from Roger's presentation, and he said, "People need an understanding of what's possible." So I'm going to show you a tool today that gives you an understanding of what's possible that was not possible in our classrooms a year and a half ago. It just wasn't even a thing. So I'm hoping to blow at least one mind today in the audience. The other one was Mandy last night, the boxer. She never actually said this, but I was thinking it the whole time, which is everyone has a plan until they get punched in the face, by Mike Tyson. And the tool we're going to use today, I'm going to show you today, and you're going to use it. It's helping students deal with the face punches that cold calling gives you, right? And that personal touch and getting said no to, getting hung up on. And then the statement is, and I talked with James on the break, George Brown James, I'm going to answer the question about voice AI and voice agents very, very directly with my presentation. I'm going to give you an explicit tool to use that is free in your classroom, and I'm going to challenge you to use it twice in your next semester. So it's 2025, we're teaching in the classroom, same challenges, new reality, right? There's been changes, but same challenges. We need realism in our teaching. We need interactivity. We need our students to be engaged with our content. And we need job readiness. I've heard what skills are employers looking for. That comes up repeatedly, right? We are technical training institutions where we need to get our students job ready to go into the workforce and crush it on day 1, or at least by month 3. But what do we lack? We lack scalability. When I was talking with James, again, thanks for the ammunition, he was saying, I love role plays. We all love role plays. How do you scale role plays? Half an hour per group. It's a mess, right? You have like 3 classes just devoted to role plays, maybe, or you do it outside of class time. And then there's engagement. Students beep, 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 on their phones, right, during class, not showing up, whatever that is. And then just time in general. I don't know about you, but with online, asynchronous, and in-class curriculum development, the demands on our time from a curriculum development perspective have been increasing. At Conestoga, they asked us to scale back the number of assessments that we had, for example. And it's these time demands that add up, and it's like, how do we work with this? So what do? We stay comfortable. We use what we know. We use publisher tech exclusively, and this is not a bash publisher tech presentation. I'm going to talk about pros and cons, but we do stick with publisher tech exclusively, and there's limitations to that. Or we just hit that cynical stage where we say, screw it, I'm not going to do anything, right? And that's not productive either. But wait, there's more. Imperfect college systems. Colleges aren't perfect bureaucracies. No surprise to anyone in the room. I know for me, I have to submit my financial data for my program in February, but I don't make the curriculum decisions until June. How's that going to work out, right? So we have to deal with issues like that. Declining attendance in general, and then academic integrity. This should not be a surprise to anyone, but generative AI has broken every single written assignment that you're currently teaching with. That is a fact. You do not catch it all. You can't catch it all. If they're really smart, and let's say you have an ESL learner, they will prompt it to answer the assignment as an ESL learner. Okay? That's what I would do. I love working smarter, not harder. So what does this lead to? It leads to burnout, frustration on our part. I answered the emotional intelligence. Thanks, Mark, for that. A bit of cynicism on our part. And ultimately, worse student outcomes because they're not doing the work required to learn the material. So hopefully, I'll give you a little bit of a solution to that. I think it's time for us to own our simulations, right? Own what we can do and scale from a role play perspective using AI technology. There's two things that have led to the third thing up there. One is non-deterministic LLMs. LLM means large language model. Non-deterministic means every time you ask it a question, you ask it 10 times the exact same question, it's going to answer in 10 different ways. Just the way it flows through those foundation models and the neurons in it, it's probabilistic. So you never know how it's going to respond. And actually, the part that makes me the most nervous about this presentation, you're going to see that I don't know how it's going to respond. The other piece is low latency text-to-speech. Low latency, if you have kids, you might have said, Dad, it's lagging. My video game's lagging. The internet's lagging. That's latency. And what's happened is, in the past year or two, the speed at which these LLMs are computing, as well as the cost of compute, as well as the energy costs, for those who are environmentally concerned, although that's a sidebar, but that has all been dropping dramatically, like 40 times per year, 100 times in the past 2 years, even more. So 2 orders of magnitude in 2 years, okay? Massive decreases in latency and cost, and that enables us to have real-time conversations with, James was saying voice agents. I've heard agents. I'm going to call them bots today because they are chatbots. All they are verbal chatbots. They're not actually getting into the agentic AI systems that I know Roger touched on in his presentation, and you might have heard some buzz about. Oh, agents, they're the future. These aren't agents. They're just chatbots that talk to you, okay? And all of this leads to increased faculty agency. The tech that's available to us now, like you can literally create a new case study every single week and add 10 minutes of workload to your overall weekly capacity. It's just mind-blowing. I create them for my negotiations class all the time. Hey, yeah, make me a negotiations case study about this, this, and this. Something that a student in the class cares about. Make it about bodybuilding. I have a student who cares about bodybuilding. Make a negotiations case about bodybuilding. It's awesome, right? So it increases our agency. I mentioned a few things there, but I'm really going to drill into one today. So what I'm going to drill in today is a product called Hyperbound. Hyperbound is a chatbot, voice chatbot software that specifically focuses on sales enablement technology. They are currently focused in the B2B enterprise space. They don't have a great educational foundation. We're working to build that, but I just want to be realistic about where their focus is. Their focus is on making money. They're a Y Combinator startup as well from 2023. Their focus is on making money, and the realistically, they're making that in that enterprise B2B space. That being said, I've included this in the presentation so that when you get to it afterwards, I'll give everything to Rose and Patrick. You can follow these instructions to get there. So you Google Hyperbound, you hit the blue Try It Now button, that's in the top right corner. I like Janet Bowen. Janet Bowen's one of the bots that you can use as a demo bot. This, by the way, is totally free, unlimited access. Totally free, unlimited access. I'll say that again, since I know budgets are a major constraint. For today's workshop, because I wanted more than the totally free version, I cold emailed, again, another tie-in from a previous presentation, cold emailed the founders of Hyperbound, ended up getting a license for free. Isn't that great? Which I was able to use. I would say their paid license is not cost efficient enough for you to use it in your institution. Like, we're talking typical SaaS pricing, so anywhere from $70 to $100 per seat per month. Right, I see Jen raising her eyes. So that's pretty typical if you're training, you're onboarding BDRs and SDRs into the role, or you're getting your account executives hands-on training with discovery bots and warm call bots. But it's not for educational institutions. They are working on a strategy, but I would say you're gonna have to do some cold emailing and networking if you want all the goods. But what I'm gonna show you today, you can just use the demo bots, okay? It will require you to put in a work email address, use your college address, get all of your students to use their college addresses, because then you can see the call history for everyone that has used that domain name. So you'll see, I might flip through it today, everybody from Conestoga who has done calls in the past however long time frame. So now I'm going to flip to it. And let's start it up. The bot I created is not showing up. There's Chris Johnson. So this is a bot that I created in the software. I'm going to expand the... This is the moment of truth for the tech there, Bruno. Here we go.
Hi, Chris speaking.
Hey, Chris, this is Jeremy Legg from Conestoga College. How you doing?
Jeremy, I'm fine. Look, I wasn't expecting this call, so let's get to the point. What's this about?
Up front, Chris, this is a well-researched B2B sales call. I was really excited to call you today because I saw Tech Pro Solutions had just raised some Series A funding. You're scaling up your sales teams, and I think some students at Conestoga can fill that gap for you. Do you have 2 minutes for a couple of questions?
All right, Jeremy, you've got 2 minutes, but
So, thanks, Chris. Can you tell me about your experience with hiring new grads versus experienced hires, maybe challenges or successes?
Well, hiring new grads has been hit or miss. Some of them show promise and adapt quickly, but others just don't have the practical skills to handle things like qualifying leads or managing cold calls. It's been frustrating, honestly.
Thanks, Chris. Yeah, I hear that concern, and that sucks. Can I drill in a bit deeper into some of the concerns you raised? So is it specifically they aren't asking the right questions, or you feel like they don't have enough on-the-ground experience?
Yeah, it's a mix of things. They often lack the confidence or know how to ask the right questions, and their approach can feel too scripted or robotic. It's like they're not prepared for the unpredictability of real-world sales.
Okay, Chris, thanks. You've been great. I'm going to end the call now. How's the weather where you're living?
Look, Jeremy, I really don't have time for.
Sorry, Chris, how's the weather?
It's fine. Look, if you're done, let's wrap this up. Goodbye.
Didn't get the sale. Okay. Oh, I want to walk. I'm excited about this presentation too, because this is gold. So you heard Chris, right? Nothing there. I practiced a couple times. Actually, I practiced a number of times for that. I was nervous. This was the part that made me, you never know what he's going to say. I actually started by saying, hey, Chris, we met at a job fair a couple months ago. And then in my practice runs, he answered beautifully the first 2 times. Like, I vaguely remember that. And then the one just yesterday when I did a practice, he was like, I don't remember that. And I was like, oh, cool. Okay, I hope that doesn't happen on stage. But what it's doing now, it's got the transcript that you can see on the right here, and it's loading scores. So this will all come in on the scorecard that Hyperbound determines. So when you're using the demo bots, this is the weakness you're going to have to confront. They teach a very specific way of doing cold calls. The good news is you know it's best in class, because this is how they're making their money. So my advice, it's a bit more work, is you tailor your cold call teaching and training to their scorecard, not the other way around. Like, I would use their scorecards because they have been doing this for a while. They've been making millions of dollars from it. And it's up to date, right? As opposed to like maybe a textbook that you're using where it's not up to date. So what it's done, and it took a minute, is it gives me the transcript over there, but it also gives me that talk to listen ratio up in the top right. It's beautiful, right? Tells me what percentage that is. It gives me a green or a red. These, again, are based on industry averages. It will change based on where your students go to. It gives me filler words. How many times I said I didn't do very well there. I did too many ums, uhs, and likes, right? 3 words per minute on filler words. I also was talking fast. I talk fast normally. I talk extra fast when I'm a little nervous and excited. So that was higher than normal. And then monologue. But the beautiful thing is, and James asked about scalability, when I click on any of these icons in the scorecard, it gives me direct feedback on what happened in the call and what I could do better to improve it. Okay? So I clicked on, did the seller handle objections effectively? They use the feel, felt, found framework. I know some people do that, some people don't. You've probably heard of it. And it says very explicitly, key evidence. So it gives me a grade, and then it says, when the prospect expressed frustration about new grad hires lacking practical skills, the seller responded with, thanks, Chris. Yeah, I hear that concern, and it sucks. The acknowledgement was superficial and did not demonstrate deep understanding or empathy. So it gave me very explicit feedback, and it says what I should say next time. So you can build that into your script for next time. And what that does is it gives you a score out of 100. So I use that score out of 100 as a factor in their grade for my one assignment. I don't recommend doing that with the demo bots. Don't use that as a grade with the demo bots. If you can build your own scorecards, it's possible. I don't recommend using that with the demo bots, though. Okay, and make it just a factor of the grade. Okay, so what do you guys think? It's pretty cool, eh? So this is possible. We can all do this in the fall. So before I jump into the next piece, I just want to put out my first challenge. So my challenge to you is use this in 2 weeks in your fall semester during your prospecting. When you're talking about prospecting, I want you to do 2 in-class activities using these demo bots, figure out the technology, call me, email me, let's talk it through, build demo bot, or you won't build demo bots, use the demo bots for 2 weeks in your fall semester. That's it. Do like 2 one-hour workshops at the end of a lecture about cold calling. Cold calling has made a resurgence. It has come back. We're going back to it. You need to talk to someone on the phone. And BDRs, I don't need to digress that much. Okay, so with your table, 5 minutes. Think about this. What are your biggest teaching bottlenecks in your sales course? What challenges do you see with Hyperbound in your classroom based on what I just showed you? This is just 5 minutes. Think about it, and then I'm going to get into some more nuts and bolts and strategy. Okay, I'm going to end that a little bit early because there's 2 questions that came up when I visited the Fanshawe table, good questions, that I want to address because I don't know if it was clear. Don't use the paid version unless you get a free version, a free license. Use the demo bots in the fall. Okay? Use the demo bots. That's the try it now button. That's what you'll get to access when you go fiddle around with it after this is done. Okay, so don't worry about the paid version until you test it in the fall and get a feel for it. And then maybe you can consider reaching out to Hyperbound. Or honestly, like there will be 5 competitors that pop up in the next 6 months. Find one of them. Find one that's smaller. Hyperbound is now in Harvard. Like just think smart about it, right? You know the technology exists. That's the goal. Figure out how to get it into your classroom for free or cheap. That's your job. The other question was, if you're in a classroom like this, right, where you have like 35, 40 students, it gets pretty chaotic. It does get chaotic, but so do like cold call pits with a whole bunch of BDRs sitting in the room making calls, or a whole bunch of financial advisors sitting in the room making cold calls. So that is realistic, but also I asked them to put in headphones if they have them to link into your computer, and I also put them in pairs of 2. I put them in pairs of 2. I'll talk about that, but it's to create a safe space. So here's my kind of framework I've built in my mind about sales education and AI-focused sales education. So there's kind of the legacy publisher tech companies, McGraw-Hill, Cengage, Nelson. Bongo I had the privilege of seeing earlier this year. It's really cool. They are using AI-first kind of technology there with video feedback, integrations where you're getting coaching on videos, really nice. And then we have AI-first technology companies. That's the Hyperbound logo. We have OpenAI up there, Google Gemini, Microsoft Copilot. My guess is most of our institutions have partnerships with Microsoft since we use the Microsoft suite. The problem is the Copilot licenses they buy are often pretty bad, like pretty limiting. So keep that in mind as well. Hopefully, our schools deregulate the AI landscape and let us explore without issue. Anyways, and then there's StuKent. I know StuKent's here. Brendan and I were talking. StuKent's kind of in the middle, right? They're like technology-focused publisher tech. I use a couple of their simulations in my classrooms. We talked about it a lot last year, and they follow that line. The problem with StuKent, and Brendan and I talked about this too, is their role plays are deterministic. So you get the bot talk to you, and you pick one of 4 options, and then it follows that track of the script. We need non-deterministic software. So hopefully that's coming soon. And realistically, it's a spectrum, right? So publisher tech, and that's why I said it's not a publisher tech bashing party, this presentation. The beauty of it, the level of structure, the fact that it's tailored to faculty. Hyperbound, not tailored to faculty. They're tailored to enterprise. OpenAI, not tailored to faculty. If anything, these large AI companies, their like education suite of products are an offshoot or an afterthought. If you want maybe Anthropic, Claude would probably be the best because they do have like Claude Educates. But even still, we need to, it's not their key focus. It's not making them a lot of money. It's more of like a marketing arm. Same with Salesforce and Trailhead, right? This is not a new model. They're giving it away for free to some educational institutions to educate people on how to use it. It's an integration piece. It's an adaptation piece, or an adoption piece. The downside of publisher technology, it's slow. Bongo's just coming out. The technology for it existed 2 years ago, right? And I'm guessing it's a third-party integration. Most of them will be third-party integrations for that company that are now bolted into your learning management software. Sorry if I'm talking fast, by the way. And then adaptation speed for those AI-first technology companies, that's where they thrive. They are on the cutting edge. So Hyperbound will have the best technology integrated into it, and also the cheapest technology. Because Hyperbound is one of these interesting wrapper technologies where as the foundation models improve, their product improves and actually gets cheaper for them, so they make more profit. So hopefully they'll come down in price and be able to offer more to educational institutions in the future. So use cases. Why would you use either or when? Publisher technology is fantastic for semester-long integrations, semester-long simulations. Stu Kent's a great example. I use the McGraw-Hill backpack simulation. It's like a finance and marketing related simulation. I use SmartBooks, McGraw-Hill SmartBooks in one of the courses, right? They're great for these things that bolt into your LMS. They give you the rubric goes into your LMS, the grade book goes into your grade book. It's great. You don't need as much technical acumen, right? You can also may have existing strong relationships with publisher reps. Hey, Dave. And a willingness to ask about new integrations, right? That's what you need for it. For AI first technology, I strongly recommend you don't do it with a lot of grades attached, and I strongly recommend that you use it as a pass-fail. Don't do it based on performance unless you're listening to the calls and grading it. Because I will say that's a weakness here, that scorecarding technology. For example, I tried to do it to calculate time, and it hallucinated the time on the call probably 40% of the time. So it was taking away grades or giving grades when it shouldn't have been based on that timing function. So just be aware of that. You do have to recognize AI is not a passing fad. This is not going away. We have to integrate it. All of your written assignments are broken. Mine too. I have so many reflections, and it's like, what's the friggin' point anymore? Okay? So think about that. Think about that. It's kind of overwhelming to think, oh, I have to change these things, but we do need to start thinking about it now. So how do I do this? I want to do this for myself. You pick a model provider. So Hyperbound is what I recommend using. You can also get about this using the free technology available from ChatGPT and Google Gemini. I say those two, Claude, which is Anthropic's, they just released one of these as well. They have advanced voice mode. Advanced voice mode means low latency. That's basically the distinction between advanced voice mode and it just talking to you. So you have that advanced voice mode, and we can talk about that if you want to go down that route. I'm not talking about it much in this presentation, but you can come about this a back way if you're a bit better with prompting and that kind of thing. From there, you build your bot, or you use one of the demo bots. So I recommend use AI to build the prompt to give you the bot. So go into Gemini, build the bot in Gemini, build the prompt, feed that into ChatGPT, see how it goes, right? Honestly, it's great. And then execute and reflect. See how it goes in classroom and discuss learnings, and then assess how it went and tweak as needed. So here's very explicitly how I used Hyperbound this year across multiple courses. So I used it in two ways. One way is in class. This is the way I recommend you use it in the fall. These are highly engaging cold calling exercises. This has everything on it because you're going to get this after, so you can go back and revisit it. I'm also going to include the rubrics that I used for the graded assignment so that you can see a flavor of how that can be implemented. Use it during your prospecting lectures is what I recommend. Your objective isn't to make them masters. It's to get them feeling the butterflies in their stomach and to be like, whoa, this is what people do for a living. Like if they go into a BDR role in a tech company, they're going to be making 50 to 80 cold calls a day, right? Fastenal, I know Fastenal's here, great sponsor. I've talked to multiple district managers where if they can pick up the phone and call a district manager and there's a hiring position open, they're going to get that interview if they can present themselves well. I see some nods. And it's a skill set that these students don't have, so we should train that. Lost my train of thought. It's to get rid of those butterflies in your stomach. I recommend providing a tight script the first week, have them build a looser script the second week. Again, it's that scaffolding approach, right? So you give them explicitly what to say, for the students who are super nervous, they can read off the script. That's okay. Put students in pairs to make it a safe environment. It's kind of like you're giving them a video so that they can comment on each other, and they pair up in friend groups, right? So you don't have to worry about that putting them on the spot, because the room's so noisy and everybody's so kind of giddy about what's going on, even though they know it's not real, you won't have that problem. Or I haven't seen that problem, I should say. And for product, you just pick a student, any product they're familiar with, so like iPhones, whatever. Pick something that they use on a daily basis, and they're going to try to sell it to the demo bot. The demo bot lets you sell it anything. Use case 2 is a graded assignment. So in my professional sales course, the level 2 one, they have to do an interview with me for a sales job. That's an assignment. So what I did is I just added a 5% piece of that. They had to do a cold call with a hiring manager bot that I created from Salesforce, and they had to get over, I forget what it was. They had to get over a 50 on that call, a 50 out of 100, in order to get the interview with me. So in order to progress through the assignment, they had to get a 50 on that cold call. Worked brilliantly, they had to hit a score. You know, you get those assignments where students are like, wow, I want to do that again. This is one of those assignments. Students will game themselves trying to get up to an 80, trying to get up to a 90, trying to get the sale. It's this really nice, because they can see it explicitly. They can also see the scores of everybody else in the class in the call history. I don't know if that's like allowed, but it works brilliantly. So I would recommend doing it till told otherwise. And then you get them to submit their best recording, and you listen to and grade those recordings. That's a key piece. That's where you keep the human in the loop. They should have your feedback. You should know how your students are doing. So you do, and the cold call recordings, they're 5 minutes max. They're usually not very long. One thing to note here, Hyperbound doesn't have tonality built into it, so they can distinguish between a question and a statement. But if I'm yelling at the bot, or if I'm whispering to the bot, it can't distinguish between that yet. There's open source software called Sesame that does this brilliantly right now, that I've talked with the Hyperbound founders, and they're looking at it. But it doesn't integrate tonality yet, so be aware of that. They can read off a script to get around it. Okay, time check. 15 minutes, beautiful. We have 10 minutes to do some cold calls. Okay, this is the fun part. So, you're gonna call Chris Johnson, the guy that I just called. What Hyperbound has done for me for this workshop, because this is marketing for them realistically, right, is they've actually built a phone number that we can call. You don't have to log in anything, you just call it on your cell phone. So when you call, he's gonna say, hi, this is Chris Johnson speaking, and you're going to talk to him. It doesn't really matter what you say. Chris Johnson doesn't exist, right? He's a computer. So here's some information about Chris Johnson. Your goal on the call, if you want to go for it, or you can just mess around with it. I'm going to give you 10 minutes just to fiddle around. One time I just picked up the phone and I was like, meow, 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 just to see what happened, right? You can do that. That's what this is for. This is experimentation. Or you can try this script. Hi, this is Jeremy from Conestoga College. How are you doing today? This is the script roughly that I just used. Okay, so you can read off the script as well. One thing I have to tell you though is these phone bots can't hang up on you. So Chris will say goodbye, and then you'll be like meow, and then he'll say goodbye, meow, goodbye, meow. I'm hanging up now, meow, right? And he won't actually hang up. So you have to hang up and start the call again if you want to try again. Okay, so take 10 minutes now and just start messing around. Oh, yes, Drew. So that's like poke the bear. So there's lots of different cold call techniques. One is poke the bear. I like poke the bear. Poke the bear is where you're saying, hey, this is a cold call. This is a sales call. Like, if you want to hang up on me, do it now. And so, interestingly, we can get into like cold call theory, but I also said, how are you doing? Because there's research, you get like 5% more sales if you say how you're doing when you first pick up the phone, which I wouldn't want someone to say how you're doing to me if I didn't know them, but But poke the bear is a technique. Some people open up with a question, right? Our sales lab coach, Michael, is the best cold caller I think I've ever heard. And he opens up with a question. So there's no one way. Cold calling is art and science. I like this way. You say well-researched, and then you prove it up front. You say, hey, you got Series A funding. I know that. I know you're hiring for salespeople. But you can do whatever you want, obviously. Okay, so yeah, take 10 minutes, and then we'll come back. Okay. So, you've had a chance to call Chris. One great question came up from Rose, and the question was, what do you do when the noise in the room is interfering with the call? One, that's limited because you're having the number of voices by having them in pairs. Two, if they do have earbuds in, they can only listen to one side of the call. They listen to their friend talk. They don't hear the other side. But still, that doesn't have as much interference if they have earbuds in. So be aware of that. And I do find, honestly, some devices are just more picky with their microphone for picking up the voices in the background. Terry, yeah, Terry. No idea. I would say use it till they remember it. They've probably forgotten about it. They are a fast-growing startup. Use it till they forget about it. Or remember it. It's free. Okay, so capper, finisher, matrix reference. What if I told you this is just the beginning of AI in sales education? In 2025, we can now easily scale role plays and feedback, build a case study every week, bridge the gap between lecture and live sales floor, and 2 graphics to consider for the future. Look at this mind-blowing diagram. The number of marketing technology companies and logos that exist that are being sold has went up 100 times. This is North American focused, 100 times since 2011. In 2023 to 2024, which is when ChatGPT took off, GPT-4 was released in March 2023, 3,000 new logos entered into the landscape. 3,000 in 1 year. Those are startups or spin-offs. And it gets even wilder when you consider this phenomenon of vibe coding and people like me who are just fiddling around and creating a custom solution. You will be able to create your own hyperbound soon, or something not quite as good, but approaching it, okay? There could be 1 million times more custom solutions created by Jeremys in the world who are just messing around trying to build it, okay? So we want to live in that tail end. We want to own our simulations. A reminder, my challenge to you, 2 lectures, 2 in-class activities, using hyperbound demo bots for the fall semester. For me, it's a no-brainer. Strongly encourage you to do it. Your students will get better and they will appreciate it. And they'll be able to say they have calling experience, which Jen and I were just talking. She hires financial advisors. Any resume that has calling experience on it rises to the top of the pile. My end goal, get my students as good at jobs as they are capable of and as is possible. As much money as they can in their first job, set on a good career. And Hyperbound helps enable that. So thank you. Hopefully this has been interesting, and I'll hand it back. Do I have time for a question, or is there? No, we don't. Okay, that's fine.
Thanks, Jeremy. That was amazing. I think that was a really well-run session. Lots of interactivity there. I love this because scalability is something we've talked about in particular around role plays probably since the very first time that we had this symposium, because it's been an ongoing issue. And I think also having a qualified buyer, because a student doesn't have the business acumen to really be the most challenging buyer. So I think that's great. I think getting the reps in, which is everything. The leaderboard, I love that, being able to gamify that, keep doing that until someone comes in from HR and tells you it's not a good idea. I used Hyperbound for the first time today, and I could feel, I was very confident. I could feel the calls slipping away. I kept addressing the objections until finally it's like, well, what would convince you? Well, I don't know. And I'm like, oh, if you don't know, now I'm into a discovery call and even that's not working. But what an interesting, again, with the EI, an interesting feeling when I could feel the dynamic of the call with the bot slipping away from my control to the buyer's control. It's fascinating. So thank you so much for that experience. It was amazing. Really appreciate it. It was great.
That was cool. Thank you, Jeremy. Yeah, that was great. This is my first time interacting with the bot, and I definitely felt real. Holy smokes. Yeah, it was scary, but great. We need to keep building that muscle. So thank you so much again. And I smell lunch. So that's a good sign. It is noon-ish. So I want to get you to lunch, and I want to thank our sponsor, Cengage. We want to thank Cengage for sponsoring our lunch today. I also wanted to mention that all our sponsors are over on the sides. Nancy is over there waiting for anybody to stop by to come by and chat with Nancy. This book may be familiar. I just brought it up here. I do sell textbook in my, especially the intro courses. I know that's a common book we all use. And I was chatting with Nancy, and they are getting in their new edition attached to MindTap. They have the Bongo AI featured tied right in there. So if you're already using Cell, it's a great update to have that role play AI tool for your students, as Jeremy highlighted, to get your students really practicing delivering those presentations and cold calls, or that matter, and experiencing those feelings that we experience with Hyperbound. The nice thing about the Cell is if you're using it, it's in your system already, ties in with your Brightspace or your LMS. So that's something I'm definitely going to look into. So go over and chat with Nancy about Bongo and the MyTap feature.